Hello, New York Giants fans. Welcome back to the Empire State Sports Report. I'm your host, Adrianna, also known as New York Giants fangirl across social media. Make sure you guys are following along there because I do lives, giveaways, fun stuff like that on Instagram. And it's always the first place that I post all sorts of news and information. So make sure you're following along there. And if you like the podcast, please rate, review, subscribe it, help me get it out to other New York Giants fans so we can all continue to build our Giants community and we can either celebrate or commiserate, but at least it'll be together. Let's go ahead. Today, we're going to talk about training camp and some Giants news and updates that have happened over the last few days or so. Let's start with training camp. Like you guys, I also had issues getting tickets. I was on the website for an hour and I still couldn't get all of the tickets that I needed. So I know this is a pain point among Giants fans. It happened last year, but I think I have a good solution moving forward. So this is what we're going to do. If you happen to have extra training camp tickets, please transfer them to me. I will put my email address in the show notes. So you can go ahead and transfer them if you happen to have extras. I know when training camp comes along and it gets closer or the day before or whatnot, some people have last minute cancellation. Someone gets sick or they have a work meeting or for whatever reason, they end up not being able to make the practice. And instead of those tickets going to waste, I know there's always people who want them. Let's get them into other Giants fans' hands. So then if you are someone who's looking for tickets, please put the date and your email address in the comments. So that way, if people start to transfer me tickets, I can go ahead and send them along to you. I did this on Instagram last year and it worked out pretty well. There were not a lot of tickets that went to waste. So I'm happy to do it again. Like I said, I've been to training camp a bunch. I think it's a lot of fun. And I think if you have the opportunity and you'd like to go, to definitely check it out. And I want to help as many Giants fans as I can get there. So with that being said, go right ahead. Drop all the info in the comments and I'll do my best to help out. And I'll continue to do this all the way throughout training camp too. So if you're following me on Instagram, I'll go ahead and put some stickers up so people can put their information and transfer tickets that way as well. So some training camp tips and tricks. It is very, very hot. Now, the good news about training camp is if you're sitting in the bleachers, which is where most of us sit during the camp, it is covered. So there is a cover over it. So you're in the shade. However, it's New Jersey in July and August, and it is usually humid as hell. So these are some things that I always recommend people to do. Obviously, hat, sunglasses, sunscreen, because you will be walking around and in the sun. And like I said, it's super hot. So prepare. Try not to get sunburn. No one wants that. So sunscreen is definitely a must. You have to have a clear bag. So you can wear all different sizes of them, but would recommend definitely having a clear bag. They do giveaways and things like that. So if you have one of the bigger Giants bags that are clear, I would recommend bringing that. You can bring a reusable water bottle. I would also say to bring that around so you don't have to pay for water. They have water refill stations that are super helpful. They also have fans that have water and like cold steam blasting out of them. So it's always nice if you're really sweating to stand in the cool and just have a little bit of a break there. What else? You don't need cash if you want to buy anything. Like they have Giants gear and stuff like that you can buy. They also have Dippin' Dots and ice cream and other food that you can get, hot dogs and things like that. So if you're hungry at camp, there's always food available. The camps are typically an hour and a half. So they usually run from 10 a.m. to 11:30. If you want to do autographs, the autographs go from 8:30 to 10. Now, those autographs are for former players only. They're all listed on the Giants website. So if you're looking for a certain player or you want to know who's going to be there the day that you're going, it's on giants.com/training camp. You can see who's going to be there. If you want to do those autographs, obviously get there early. It's from 8:30 to 10, but they do cut the line off and sometimes they will kind of cut it off at 10 if you're still waiting. So just be prepared for that. If there's someone that you want to see, I would say get there early. Try and be online by 9:00. If you are going on a weekend, get there early because the line to get into camp is going to be long. And if you want to scope out the area and check out the activations and things like that beforehand, and you definitely want to give away whatever it is that day, whether it's a towel or sunglasses, get there early. Sometimes the line moves slow, sometimes it moves fast. So I typically avoid the weekends and I only go during the week. And I like to get there around 9 o'clock. And I usually don't have an issue waiting too long to get into the actual camp. And then I have time to look around, fill my water, go find a seat, etc. So I recommend all of that. One more thing on the bags, you can bring a small, like wristlet size bag. So if anyone has like the Lululemon crossbody bag or the fanny pack, that typically is a good enough size, but not usually much better. So just keep that in mind because I think they will turn you away if you have like a backpack or something like that. What else can I tell you? Wear light colors. Like I said, it's very hot. So I always try to wear very light things because there are areas where you can be out and about in the sun. If you're bringing kids, the activations that they have for them are great. So they have games that you can play. I think they have cornhole. They have a DJ some days. They also have one of those blow up, what's it called? Like a bouncy house type of thing. I think they have face painting. I've seen that a couple times. They also have life-size bobbleheads. So last year they had Eli Manning and Lawrence Taylor. So like if you want to do photos and everything like that, I would say just either prepare to get there a little bit early or prepare to stay a little bit later so you can do that after the practice. When you go to find your seat for the practice, sometimes the people that are working there will tell you what area they're going to do the 7-on-7s and 11-on-11s in. They don't let you record those specific drills, although I have seen some people sneak it, but wouldn't recommend. You don't want to be the person that gets kicked out for doing that or yelled at. But the players move around on the field throughout the practice, but I think everyone really only cares about the 7-on-7s and 11-on-11. So you can ask them and they'll tell you the best place to sit for that. Although I will say that if you sit in any one of the bleachers, you're likely to be able to see everything that's going on. If you have children 12 or under, you can go to the area after practice and get current players to sign things. Now, if you are over 12 years old, if you are my age and you do not have children, you are not allowed in. So keep that in mind. I would recommend bringing a Sharpie and something that you want signed, whether a jersey, a helmet, a glove, whatever you want. Have it with you beforehand and make sure to have a Sharpie because the players don't have a ton of time. And every day it's different position groups. So you basically never know what you're going to get. One day it could be quarterbacks, one day defensive backs. It kind of just depends on the luck of the draw. So that stuff I don't believe is planned out. Sometimes you will get lucky and it'll be like the cornerbacks and Dexter Lawrence will show up, or it'll be the quarterbacks and Malik Neighbors will come in. You never know, but you're only allowed to get current players' autographs if you're with kids in that area. Now, what you can do to try to get current players' autographs is after practice, lean against the fence. So where the field is at Quest, there's like a chain link fence in between that and where the bleachers are. And sometimes people will stand there during the practice. You can, but if you want to do that, number one, you're going to be out in the blazing sun. So keep that in mind. It's very hot. And number two, you are going to have to get there early because those spots fill up quickly. If you're short like me, I am 5'4" and basically can't see over a lot of men that are in front of me. So I usually prefer the bleachers just because I can see the whole field and see everything that's going on. But if you're tall and want to be in that area, get there early so you can get a good spot. What else? You don't have to pay for parking. That's all free. And you can park in the same lot at Quest. You can park at MetLife and walk over. Typically during the week, you won't have an issue with parking. You don't have to park at MetLife. You can park right at Quest. But I think on the weekends when it's a little bit fuller, you might have to park in MetLife. It's not far. It's literally right across the street. So there's no issue there. And like I said, you don't have to pay for parking. And training camp tickets, everything is free except once you get inside, if you want water or food or something like that, obviously you have to pay for that kind of stuff. But I really like training camp. I think it's a fun experience. And I think it's just great to see the players up close. You are that much closer to them that, seeing Dexter Lawrence up that close and personal, I was like, oh my God, this guy is like actually a monster. Like, when you see them on TV or you see them far away in games, it's really hard to tell how big they are unless they're standing next to other people. And Dexter is just one of those guys that looks like a monster next to everyone. And then you see him up close and it's like, holy shit, this guy is actually a beast. So I think that covers it for training camp. Like I said, any other questions, if there's anything I didn't cover, drop it in the comments and I will get back to you. But speaking of Dexter Lawrence, we have to talk about this because ESPN for the 6th year in a row has surveyed NFL executives, coaches, and scouts, and they rank the top 10 players at every single position. Dexter Lawrence was ranked the number 1 defensive tackle in the NFL. And all I have to say is, hell yeah, it's about time some really good Giants players get some credit. This is a quote from ESPN's Jeremy Fowler. Lawrence's game reached a new stratosphere in 2024 when he expanded his arsenal and added a 9-sack season to an already stellar resume. Dominating the run was always on the agenda for Lawrence. He has the balance, power, flexibility, footwork, and acumen to post big sack numbers. In the past, the knack on Lawrence was that he missed too many near sacks, but no longer. Lawrence racked up quarterback takedowns while facing a 74.5% double team rate, which is higher than any other interior lineman. The Giants saw him improve his ability to transition off blocks, be great on the move, and finish takedowns. Now, one NFL personnel director said what I said, and I think a lot of us also said this last year, was that he should have been Defensive Player of the Year. If he didn't get injured and miss the last few games of the season, I think there's no doubt that he would have gotten that. This NFL personnel director said he's a true zero technique nose who can occupy doubles and neutralize the run game. I think he took his pass rush to a different level, and I think he would have had double-digit sacks if Burns and Thibodeau stayed healthy. A true 3-down game wrecker who needs attention every single snap. And I know so many of us are excited about the addition of Abdul Carter, but when you look at the defensive line as a whole between Carter, Burns, Thibodeau, and Dexter, like, what is there not to love? I'm so excited about this defensive line. Speaking of the defensive line, look at that transition. Pro Football Focus ranked the Giants in the top 3 defensive lines for the upcoming season. So they have the Steelers number 1, Eagles number 2, Giants 3, Texans 4, Bills 5. And I loved this quote because I think it does a good job of summing up part of Joe Schoen's tenure, that arguably no team has done more in the NFL to strengthen its defensive line and pass rush over the past couple of seasons than the Giants. PFF's Zoltan Boudet said this. They drafted Thibodeau and Carter with top 5 picks in 2022 and 2025, and then they also traded for former first-rounder Brian Burns. The team's edge defender trio is complemented by perhaps the best nose tackle in the league, Dexter Lawrence. He had an 89.9 PFF overall grade, which was ranked 3rd among interior defenders, which obviously because he got injured and didn't play the whole season. But then you have, Burns, Kayvon, and some other players on this team who all helped the defensive line and the defense as a whole reach 45 sacks. Now having Carter to that and a healthy Dexter Lawrence. I mean, I think it's really nice that the Giants are finally getting some credit. And look, a lot of the times they don't deserve credit. They won 3 games last year and they won 6 the year before. Not a great football team, but they had a good offseason this year. They made great additions. And on paper, this looks like a good football team. They upgraded in positions that needed upgrade, like the quarterback position, like the defensive line, like cornerback, like safety. So, in theory and on paper, this is a good football team. It needs to translate during the season, but it's just nice for once to hear the national media say nice things about the Giants, because I do think they deserve it. A guy like Dexter Lawrence deserves the hype. He does. And someone like Abdul Carter does, and so does Burns. And I hope that this year we're really going to see that translate on the field. So I have a lot of hope and excitement for those guys. Obviously, it doesn't matter unless they come through on game day, but I think Shane Bowen has a lot of talent to work with this year, and I think that's the biggest difference from last year to this year. You look at the secondary too and the upgrades that the Giants made there. I just think there's a lot of hope and optimism to feel like the defense should be good this year. I think they're probably going to be better than the offense to get started, but if the offense can be decent, if they can be better than last year, which look is not saying a lot, but if they can be 50% better than last year, and, the defense is the defense, we should be a good football team. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. But that's all I got for you guys this episode. Thank you so much for listening. Reminder to rate, review, subscribe, and share the show with your friends. Next week, I have a great guest coming on, which I think you guys will be excited about and love that episode. And I'm also going to do my 53-man roster prediction. So stay tuned for that. We're 2 weeks away from training camp, guys. It's all happening. It's coming up soon. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll be back next week with more.